Welcome to Stories from the Trail. This episode is brought to you by listeners like you. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/storiesfromthetrail.
Hello, hikers. Green Giant here, one of your hosts. Welcome to another special episode of Stories from the Trail. What makes this one so special? You. This was our first ever live streaming episode featuring you, the listener, as the guest. Earlier this week, Megan and I made a post on our Facebook page, which you can find by looking for Stories from the Trail on Facebook, announcing that we were going to record a live show featuring you, the listener, as our guest. And we were really surprised, given how much short notice we gave you, how many people decided to join the call. Not everybody had something to say. A lot of people wanted to just hang out and listen, but everybody who wanted to ask a question or tell a story got a chance to. You'll recognize some of the voices of guests who appeared on previous shows. You'll hear some who are brand new to you, listeners just like you who decided to call in. And like I said, it was a lot of fun, and I guarantee you we're going to do this again. So I hope you enjoy this as much as we did. Sit back and relax. This is the live episode of Stories from the Trail.
Do you have a Spotify? So you have a Spotify account?
Oh hell yeah, we should team up, man. I want to see what you're listening to.
I listen to a lot of '90s stuff. Well, me and you are about the same age, so.
Oh yeah, I grew up with Fastball and
Fastball.
You remember
oh
those
my
guys?
God! You pull that out of your ass? Oh my
I did.
God!
I really did. Just did.
I don't even know what song did they sing?
They made up their minds and they started walking.
Oh God! Wow!
You remember that shit?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did y'all
yeah.
have something called The Box back then? Did you have that? It was like the poor man's MTV.
No, not I. We only had like 3 channels on an antenna. We didn't even have cable for that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I grew up in the country, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, we had a thing called The Box, and basically they played a bunch of songs, and if you wanted to hear your song, if you wanted to watch your music video, you had to pay like $1, and they'd play your music video on the TV.
Man, I wish that was around when I was playing. That would have been cool.
It was around in the late 90s.
Yeah, well, I wasn't playing then. I was,
Wow.
you know.
I think other people are on now. Are other people on?
Yeah, we've got a couple of people here. I see Jason and Damien. Is that Damien Tuga? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you got that right.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Damien's a future guest of the show.
I was going to
cool.
ask you about that. Is that still a thing?
I hope so. Yeah,
Cool.
we're trying to get caught up on our guest list. So we've got a lot
Cool.
of
Well, I'm
lot
looking
of
forward to it.
interesting people, chomping at the bit. We're gonna get to it. I promise.
Well, when you're like talking about the Appalachian Trail, there's like no end to interesting things, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, what you never told me about? There's some kind of a preacher's rock or something. You're supposed to like tell your sins or something. You know anything about that?
Oh, you're talking about there's a mountain in Virginia that's called the Priest.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it's part of what they call it part of the Virginia Triple Crown. I think it's McAfee Knob, the Priest, and there's one more thing. And Megan, do you remember? Any of you guys remember what the other third thing on the?
Yes, but can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, Dragon's
Yes.
Tooth. That was it.
Hey, Meg.
Okay, yes, good. Hello.
Hello.
I'd have to take a 0 at that place to tell all my sins.
I remember the shelter. Was there a rock? Was it Preacher's? Was it a rock
yeah,
at the top of the mountain that I just didn't pay attention to?
Yeah, they just call that mountain the Priest. And one of the trail traditions is when you get to the shelter that's at the base of the Priest, everybody confesses their sins in the logbook at the shelter.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey,
Hey,
are there
Gary?
gonna... Oh, sorry.
Is this a sound check or are we actually recording?
So I just sent out the link early just so we could get a bunch of people on before we actually begin, so we can kind of see how.
So I can eat dinner then?
Yeah, you can eat. You can chew. I mean, you chew,
Oh, God.
chew during the show anyway.
So hey,
What do you
I
have?
just wanted to mention, I'm currently in North Woodstock, New Hampshire, and my wife's going to be doing some trail magic at the end of the week, I think. So I don't know if you want to mention that.
Oh wow!
Oh, cool. Hey, Gary,
That's exciting.
where's Chris at now?
Oh, I haven't heard from him in a while, but
I wonder if he's anywhere near there.
I know he did Katahdin, and he was
Right.
entering the 100-mile wilderness, and now he's kind of in that zone where you don't really get a lot of chances to communicate. So
Okay.
yeah, I need to check in with him and see how he's doing.
So he's probably still in Maine.
Most likely, yeah. In fact,
Okay.
I can check.
Turnaround?
That's him. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
That's cool. We went, we actually, Gary's wife Katie and I, and he and our friend Mark Calcagni hiked a part of the Foothills Trail together, and I caught some trout and fed that guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah,
know about the
yeah. I
trout.
forgot we ran into you
This
guys
guy
out
is
there.
like freaking angler connoisseur, just freaking putting it in and whipping them out. Good God.
I just got lucky. That's how it works.
Oh,
with
Deidre-
fishing.
Gary, Deidre wants to know where we're going to go hiking that weekend
So
that you were talking about.
the tentative plan is for us to pick up on the Foothills Trail right where you and I got off.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. So we're just going to do probably the next 10 or 15 miles, depending on how you guys feel.
Man, I might go to that one.
Yeah, Deidre is worried that she's not going to be able to hang.
Speaking of hanging, looks like Jared's upside down.
I am
Oh, hey, Jared.
completely upside down.
Yeah. So we've got. Oh, yeah, you are. Your webcam's pointed at your air vent there.
Yeah, it's completely upside down.
Yep. That would be the voice of Jared King. Thanks for joining us. We haven't officially begun yet. We're still just kind of goofing around and checking out this. This is the first time we've done a Google Hangouts with more than just the two of us or three of us. So
How many can it technically handle?
25. So
I'm kind of amazed that we're all not talking over each other. It's kind of cordial.
I'm trying not to. Kind of hard with this many
Me as
people.
well.
Yeah, I just want to check in to make sure my mic's working, but I'm like Megan, I got to eat first too. So, hello everybody.
hey, that's Jason Handysides, I believe, right? Isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, I hope people are okay with having their real names broadcast. I can bleep it out if anyone's in the witness protection program.
Well, I'm technically not 100% legal in America, but no, it's all right.
Oh, that's now.
And with the Leafs thing there, I'm going to assume you're Canadian.
Correct. Yeah, I'm Canadian living in
Yes.
America, but I'm just in the process of getting my green card. But it's all good. I don't.
Oh, I love it. Process. Oh, it's so.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's-
I went to school in Canada, and I really miss Canada, obviously, with everything that's going on.
So do I.
Anytime I can get close to Canada, I get really excited.
I was in that process once, that green card process, and I gave up on it.
Yeah, I don't really have a choice to give up, but it's not too bad. It's just long and expensive.
Yeah,
Man,
That's what
Damien,
she
are you
said.
also from Canada?
I am. Yep. I lived in the
that's so
U.S. for
exciting.
11 years, but like I say, I gave up in the process and moved back.
So what province are you from?
Well, I'm currently living in Quebec, in Montreal, but I mean, I was born in Ontario, spent most of my growing up years in Alberta.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to Alberta.
Jason, can I assume you're from the I don't know, Ontario or the GTA?
No, I'm actually from BC, but I'm just a Leafs fan.
Oh, okay. Oh, BC has some pretty mountains out there. Oh,
You're killing my wife's misophonia right now. She's probably like gritting her teeth.
Let's see.
All right, so I'm sitting here. I'm sending out invites and a bunch of people who just asked for the link at the last minute. So I'm going to get a few more folks in here, and then I am going to run out to the refrigerator and get myself a beer, and then we're going to start this thing. So, yeah, pretend I'm not here. Megan, carry the show. I suck today.
Okay, cool. But I actually do need to go get some food.
Yeah,
so.
same here. So, yeah, we'll
So talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, hey, we'll carry Gary.
Let's do this. I'll put on some tunes for us.
There you go.
And then
We can figure this out. I'm going to go open a bottle of wine. BRB.
Oh, and from stage left, we have the Borland sisters. Hey, while you're doing that, everybody, who's the last person to hike on a trail? All right, any dates?
Hike on a trail?
Yeah,
Like
Probably Gary.
how long? Like just hike? Like I went for a trail run yesterday on the AT.
oh, you lucky bastard. I don't have time for that shit, man. I gotta work.
I think that counts. That counts for something.
Is the question who is the person who hiked most recently?
Yeah, that'd be the correct
I did some
way to
stairs
say
at work
it.
today.
Cool.
I walked around the yard.
Stairs count. My last hike was Washington a couple weekends ago.
Nice.
I did Huntington's up Mount Washington. That was really great.
Is that
Are you in the
is that a
east?
peak?
Mount Washington.
Oh, Mount Washington. Oh, cool.
Yeah, as in the big one.
The windiest peak in the world.
Yes, that one.
Right?
It was
Awesome.
actually a beautiful day. I hiked up there in shorts. I think I was wearing shorts at least, and a tank top. And I oftentimes wear just my like a sports bra when I'm hiking. And I was up there in just a sports bra on the top of Mount Washington for at least an hour before I got chilled and had to put a shirt on, but no long sleeves. Like it was a beautiful day.
That sounds
Was the
awesome.
was the restaurant open?
Yes, it was. And I
Oh.
had some sort of soup, even though it was a warm day. I just felt like soup. I mean, it was mediocre soup because it's like, top of the mountain soup. But I mean, it's great after you hike to be able to buy food.
My last hike was with my wife. It was actually our first hike together alone without a crowd. And we've been married for 11 years. It was our anniversary or right around it. And the same thing, weather was perfect. It was a ridge walk the whole way with great views, and we were eating wild blueberries the whole way. It was awesome.
Great.
Yeah, we did like 7.5 miles. I was really proud of her. She thought she was going to have to try to keep up with me, but it's just like hiking with anybody. You slow down a little bit, and if you're the person in front, it was fun. Had a good time.
Are you located out east, Megan?
I am in New Hampshire. I'm currently in New Hampshire.
I am too.
And you said Woodstock? Is that where you guys are?
North Woodstock. Yeah, we're here for until the end of the week. Going to try to go hiking somewhere this weekend. We haven't decided where yet. But
Ooh.
yeah,
There's so many good places up there, up in the Whites.
know.
So many good trails.
Last weekend we did the Franconia Loop there along the ridge and stuff. That was
Franconia Ridge is beautiful. It's one of my favorites. My problem when I go to the Whites is that I've liked so many of the trails. I end up doing the same trails over and over again because I know them and I know they're beautiful. And when I do that, I'm never going to be able to accomplish all the 48 4,000 footers if I just keep going and doing the same mountains over and over again. But I can't help myself.
cool.
Never done the Whites. Gosh, man, I don't think I've been north of Washington, D.C. Oh, wait, Pennsylvania. Well, let's see.
Pennsylvania is north of Washington.
Yeah, I think it was Cherry Springs is probably... No, wait, I've been in New York City, but nowhere in between.
New York City.
Man, there's so much good Appalachian Mountains in between. The 100-mile wilderness, that's on my list.
Travis, we need to get you up here to the Northeast.
Dude, it's going to happen. There'll come a point where I can't take it any longer.
Who is this Travis character anyway? Who are we talking to? He's the only person whose face and name isn't showing up in the chat. What's the deal here?
Oh, wow.
He shows up as you.
Yeah, I know. It's because we're actually in the same room together. And I was thinking...
Oh, okay. I was confused.
Yeah. So...
Well, I deleted Facebook and lawyered up, so that's probably...
Did you also hit the gym?
Yes. Yeah, maybe not. But no. Well, Gary and I met I guess about 11 years ago, and
it's been that long.
We were hanging out on a good friend of ours, Dave Nisbeth, his back porch, which he calls the Buzzard Roost. we just started chatting, and I was like, "This guy is my best friend." And
it was love at first sight.
my wife jokes that we're married, but
that Travis and I are married.
Yeah, but no, it was from then on. We've been buddies. It's been great. We've been hanging out with each other through thick and thin. He took me on my first, I guess, disciplined backpacking trip.
What do you mean disciplined?
The correct way. Lightweight.
Oh,
you know, without too much weight, like walking in with hatchets and a bunch of bullshit. And then when you get back to your car, you can't lift your legs to push the clutch on your vehicle because you carried so much weight.
Sounds like your actual first backpacking trip was less than ideal.
The first two, actually, it was fun. There were some great times, and I've got some great memories from it. But it was just too exhausting.
But I'm only half joking when I say it was love at first sight. Like Travis, he brought his guitar, and you guys can't see him, but he's got beautiful long hair, and he has just a killer smile, and he was playing his guitar, and his wife is super hot and smart and Brazilian, and I was like, I just want to I want to marry these people. I want to be with them forever.
Whatever.
This isn't a lie. I've actually met Travis. Like this is not a lie. Gary's not. He doesn't just have like a bro crush sort of thing. I mean, he does. He definitely does have a bro crush. But it's true. Travis has really great hair.
So I wanted to bring Travis over and and have him sit with us and chat on the mics because like he said, he and I've been backpacking together for almost 11 years now, and if I were the sort of person who made lists, who's the person that I've probably hiked the most miles with. It'd be a first place tie for Megan and Lemmy, who's not on the call tonight, but because we've done at least 1,000 side by side, right? And I'd say tied for second place is Travis and Katie, because Travis and I will go out for weekend hikes all the time. We camp together, and we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of stories.
Camping. It's time, isn't it? Let's go.
Oh, and speaking of people I hike with a lot, that is Mark Calcagni.
There he is.
Looking for a link to the chat. So I just sent a link to Mark. He's going to be joining in just a second.
I miss Mark.
Cool. So I might take that who's Travis intro and edit it down a little bit so it doesn't seem
like you're trying to make out with me.
Well, there's a reason the camera is off in the office right now.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, boy.
I'm not wearing any pants.
No, I will not make out with you. Get on with the chlorophyll.
I'll make out with you.
More like chlorophyll.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and speaking of really hot guys,
Oh boy,
Mark, that's Mark Calcagni joining the call.
Mark,
So,
Hello.
what's
it
up,
going,
dude?
How you doing, man?
Oh, man, are you kidding me? I'm doing wonderful. And you?
Hanging in there.
Good.
yeah, so this is the first time we've done this with a live audience. So we expect barking dogs. We expect Gary to get up and pee in the middle of the show.
Well, I just got a beer. Does that count?
We got people opening beers.
That was a good one.
Here we go.
Gary, did you get that? Can we make that as like a little soundbite that we could use in the future?
I did, but just to be sure, Mark, I'm going to need you to open another one. So chug the one you're working on.
Mark's a connoisseur. What do you got? Pliny the Elder or something like that?
Actually, no, I've got the Uinta Tangerine IPA.
Ah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we were trying to find the grapefruit that we saw out west in June, but of course they don't get it out here.
That would be Chinook, right? Isn't that the one that tastes grapefruity?
Oh, no,
that Centennial?
No, Uinta is out of, I think, Middle California.
Oh, okay.
And so we got it when we were out in Shasta.
Ah.
Yep. So anyway.
So yeah, the question that was asked right before you joined the call, Mark, and that's one of many reasons why I said, "Oh, I'm glad Mark is here." Was what's the last hike that you've been on? And you just went on like dozens of hikes, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I won't say just. I've been taking pretty much the last month off, but we started in Great Sand Dunes in Colorado, and then went to Northern California, and then to Oregon, and then to Wyoming.
And is you and your wife Sue.
Yeah, me and my wife Sue. Yep.
Epic. Yeah, it was road trip.
Yes. Well, it's one of those lucky things where you get to be married to an academic, where I'm self-employed and she gets 3 months off a year. So it's definitely convenient for taking a 3 to 4 week road trip, which we do pretty much every June. So yeah. Well, pretty much if you follow where the wildfires were pretty much this entire year, you can basically plot where we were by where fires popped up shortly after we left. And there's no continuity there.
You got lucky that you didn't have to hike through that.
We went along the way. It's just,
You weren't driving across the country flicking lit cigarette butts out the window?
The garbage can man.
The garbage, yes. We've got a stand reference. Okay.
That was the trash can man. That's right. Is it from the stand?
Trash can man. Yeah, that's right. My life for you. Yeah.
Oh man, that's the second time Stephen King's come up tonight.
Say again?
That's the second time Stephen King's come up tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, Mark, I want to talk a little bit more about your epic road trip, because there's a lot that happened in that. So you guys spent a month in the car hitting up multiple national parks, and there was so you stopped by our house on your way back. So
yes.
Yeah, so keep in mind they're driving from North Carolina out to, all the, how many thousands of miles did you drive?
We generally put between 7,000 and 8,000 miles on every June. So it could be that's pretty close, between 7,000 and 8,000 miles.
So there was this one picture that you showed us. You and Sue stopped by on your way home, and I mean, you showed us about a couple thousand pictures that night. But there was a series of panoramas that you took from the highest. It was like some zigzagging stone ridge that was the highest point in something, and I'm doing a terrible job.
There was a couple. First was
I'm thinking it's called like the Sawtooths or the Zippers or.
Well, yeah, we were up in the Sangre de Cristo at the beginning. That was where I had my run-ins with the Marmots.
That's what I was going for. That's what, yeah.
Yeah. So the Sangre de Cristo is the mountain range that kind of comes up from Colorado. I mean, from coming up from New Mexico into Colorado. On one side, you basically got the desert, and on the other side, you've got the front range of Colorado. It's out by Alamosa, where they did some of the I think it was Alamosa where there was the nuclear laboratory was. But yeah, there's a place we always go, and it's called Zapata Campground, and Zapata Falls right there, and it leads you up into the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and there's 14,000 foot peaks there that you can access from the trailhead from the campground we stayed at. We were staying about 9,000 feet, and we got up, and so we're flatlanders. We live at, I think, 740 something feet. So we went from 740 feet to we were at Zapata Falls Campground, which is at about 9,000 feet. So I was basically coughing up a lung. And we spent that night, and at 3:30 in the morning, I got up to try and get sunrise from what was North Zapata Lake, which is at about 11,000 feet. So in a series of 3 days, I was trying to go from basically sea level to a little over 11,000 feet. So I started up really early in the morning, feeling like I was going to cough up a lung, was just kind of making my way up the trail. And I got up to Zapata Lake, which is this amazing little, I guess it would be a cairn. I mean, not a cairn. I forget what the term is, but it's a high alpine lake. And anyway, I get up there.
It's a tarn, isn't it?
Tarn. Thank you. Tarn. I got up there and I started to climb up to Twin Peaks, and I basically hit the wall. Just couldn't make it anymore. I was about 5 hours into the day, and it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I made it up to about 12:02 and decided, okay, I'm going to just take a nap. I'm going to climb back down, take a nap by the lake. So I tucked my pack up under my head, threw my my hiking poles behind my head. It was probably in the 60s and dead calm. No mosquitoes, which was amazing considering that we were getting chewed on the entire time we were down at the campground. Through my hiking poles, maybe a meter behind my head. I'm going all metric. We have Canadians in the audience. Yeah, it was. I don't know why. But I'm lying there, and I don't know if anybody else has had run-ins with rodents, but I seem to always get on their bad side. Gary, you remember in Texas, the mice in my car?
To be fair, you do smell like cheese.
Well, thank you. A very ripe Limburger, or what? Just like a soft British cheese.
He's more of a goat. He's more of a goat that's been in the sun for too long.
Cheese,
I was picking up Gouda. I don't know.
So you're laying on your trekking poles.
Did you bonk out again, Mark? Mark, did you get bonkers?
Did you? Do I get what?
Did you bonk out again, Mark?
Yes, I always bonk.
Bummer, man. That's a bad feeling.
But it was worth it. It was worth it. I mean, how often do you get a chance just to stop, throw your stuff down, take a nap on a beautiful little patch of green grass next to a lake?
Now you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, it was perfect. I threw my pack under my head, and I threw my my hat over my face. I was wearing a Sizer Special type of hat, kind of
the floppy, mm-hmm.
Yeah, the floppy brimmed hat, which I never wear, but I got to emulate my hero. And there it goes. Anyway, I'm lying there when I hear behind me, and I hear. I said, that sounds like something chewing on my hiking pole. I threw off my hat, turned around. There's a marmot, and he's got a hold of my hiking pole. And because I sweat like a pig, I have sweat. The straps on my hiking pole are kind of crusted with salt, and he's just going to town. And so I look up and I go, no! And I jump up, and the marmot starts running away with my hiking pole.
That's awesome.
So I'm all cramped up from the hike. So I do this ill-advised lunge stomp, and I stomp on the end of the pole just as the marmot starts running away. The marmot hits me and goes and does a backflip because I stopped him up, and I grab a hold of the pole and I pull it away, and he's looking at me, and he's pissed. Never have I seen a marmot do this before because he completely stood his ground. I'm there, and he's coming back at me, and he's going to grab the pole again. So I start yelling at him, and I'm like, "Rah!" He's like, "Wait!" I threw my hands over my head, and I'm looking like a complete idiot. And I'm yelling at this marmot because I don't know what to do because I've never had something just that little square off against me. And I'm like, I think he could take me. At this point, I think he could take me.
Well, you did throw your hands up and surrender. I mean,
that's
the
true.
marmot know the international sign for I surrender?
I will admit I speak bear. I don't speak marmot. So, yeah, that was it was a communication breakdown, obviously. So I grab the pole and I pull it away, and he starts coming at me again. And finally, I poke at him with a pole, and he runs off, and he runs around a rock. And I turn around, and there are two. Are you familiar with ground squirrels? They're they're smaller than marmots. These were little Uinta ground squirrels, and
Like a chipmunk?
they're larger than a chipmunk.
Like a boomer.
Or pika?
Well, they're actually, I'd say a little bit boomer. When you say a boomer, you're talking about a red squirrel.
Yeah.
You should square that up because boomer is kind of a southeastern term for a red squirrel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anytime I call them boomers out west, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I saw.
No, these are little ground squirrels, and they're incredibly cute. And if the marmots are thugs, then the ground squirrels are kind of like, I don't know, they're like kind of like little street urchins from a Dickens play, because one will come running up to you and make an incredibly cute face, and another one will be coming up from behind you to pick your pocket. So he's running up, and he's trying to grab my camera bag. So I'm kind of spinning in circles, throwing my hands out, trying to watch behind me. And then I finally get the ground squirrels away, and I turn around, and this marmot's peeking out of a rock, out behind a rock at me, and he starts coming at me. And so I'm yelling at him, no! And I start chucking tiny little stones at him because I don't want to, I'm that type of guy. I'm like, I'm not going to hurt a squirrel. I'm not going to hurt a marmot. So I'm talking, and they're hitting the side of this marmot, and it makes this good solid thunk. Every time I hit him, it's like, thud.
Wow.
And he's like just looking at me, and this is not turning out the way I had expected it in my head.
This marmot's a nihilist.
Yeah. So
That joke really tied the room together. Sorry.
So I'm throwing, and he starts running up on me again, and it's just thump, meh, thump, meh. And I yelled at, but I'm like, I don't think we're having a communication issue now. I may have thrown up my hands before, but so I finally run, and I grab a good side rock, and I thump him in the side, and he runs off, and I'm like, that's it. I got to get down. I can't stand here. I've got too much stuff, and I'm cramped up. I'm dehydrated. I'm getting chased down off the mountain by the marmots.
It's a sign, Mark. It's a sign.
Goodness.
I stand up, and 4 more marmots pop up, and it's just like,
Oh boy.
it was really surreal. And yeah, I actually got chased down off of the mountain, not by a bobcat, but by marmots that were trying to steal my food.
Too much,
and pretty much anything that I had, because like I said, I sweat like a pig, and everything I had obviously tasted nice and salty. So yeah, that was day 3 of our trip, and yeah, it got interesting from there.
So you were scared away by very aggressive rodents.
Yes.
There was too much peril.
I like my story better. Yeah. Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Mark's Marmot Spray. Bring it with you when you hike to keep the marmots away. I don't know.
To be honest, I had the bear spray, and I'm really contemplating bear spraying the marmots. But, it's like, how do you justify that?
Oh, and a short gust of wind would make you have a horrible next 3 hours.
Oh,
yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little grumpy.
If the elevation doesn't get you, then the marmots will.
Yes. Well, I found out that this is a thing at this one place that they're really habituated to human beings. So, we went to several other places where marmots were an issue, but nothing like this. But yeah. So
like with New Jersey and black bears, used to humans, so they come out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's primarily people people don't think marmots are going to get aggressive, so they feed them. It's not like people feed black bears really intentionally, but people obviously feed the ground squirrels, feed the marmots. If you've ever been out west, you're familiar with Clark's nutcrackers, which is a bird, and stellar jays. And so these are a couple of more animals that just get really habituated to humans, and you think you're in the middle of nowhere and you are all of a sudden in a Disney film because all these animals are running up on you like Sleeping Beauty in the woods. It's just one of these things where you've got birds perching a couple 100 feet above you and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Hey, so while we're talking about rodents, West Coast rodents, Northwest rodents, when we were trying to figure out what type of squirrel that was, I saw Damien pop up for a second. Damien's in the chat with us, and I heard him say briefly pikas.
Yes, pikas.
Yeah. We've had some experience with those too, haven't we?
Yes, we have, in the Eagle Cap of Oregon. Pikas are really interesting. They are what's called an indicator species, and you can actually join several groups that are put together by various academic and conservation institutions that they're trying to figure out, because pikas are very, very temperature sensitive. They can't live if it gets above basically the mid 70s. They can live for a very short period of time. If anybody's ever seen a pika, it looks like they're closely related to rabbits. If you took large mouse ears and put them on a rabbit and shortened up the teeth and the body a little bit, that's basically what I think it's called pika. I always get pika and pika.
I recommend that people go to Google and look at the images, because that's what I've been doing, and they're really adorable.
They are. They're incredibly adorable.
I think what I'll do is, since Mark has, most of these trips that Mark goes on, he hasn't mentioned this part yet. He's usually carrying about 35 pounds worth of camera equipment.
Anywhere from 25 to 35. Yeah.
Some insane amount of camera equipment. And Mark's got some amazing,
just a small luxury item,
and just some really cute pictures of pikas too. So I might just, Mark, after we're done here, if you want to email me some links or whatever, I'll put those in the show notes so people can see Mark's marmots and pikas, and just dude, all your pictures from that road trip were just astounding.
All right, yeah. It's cool though, because
I feel the same way about Mark's photography as I feel about Travis's hair.
My hair sucks.
Travis's hair.
That's a callback. That's a callback.
I need to get my hair did.
Hey, Mark, do you have Instagram?
I do, but I haven't updated it in a long time, because up until recently, it was really hard to get stuff off of digital SLRs and onto Instagram. It was. And most of the time, if I'm in the field, I've got my big camera on me and I don't really have any way of uploading it. So, it seems that Instagram is kind of an instantaneous kind of.
Yes.
What Mark is saying is that he's
right when you're there.
Way too good for Instagram. He's too cool.
Well, I'm only asking to see if maybe I could repost some of your photos, like Pika, on our Instagram page, and then give you credit for it and tag you.
Okay, I will definitely put that up. But
Mark's,
anyway,
Instagram is also slow, because you'll spend 40 hours on post processing one photo.
Hashtag pound sign. Hashtag Octothorpe.
Hashtag badass photographer. Hashtag.
Hashtag. It's one of my favorites.
But yeah, the pikas was the Eagle Cap up there around Ice Lake the first time you had seen pikas?
It is first time I've seen them in person. In Pika.
In Pika. Yeah, they hang out in talus slopes, so large rocky slopes above pretty much 7,500 feet. And if it gets too warm, they die. So they're starting to use them for figuring out how climate change is affecting alpine animals by where pikas end up in Colorado or Oregon, and they're slowly moving up. But yeah.
So what you're saying is the pika's unusual migration habits is also a Chinese hoax? No, sorry, too soon. Okay, let's not go there.
Okay,
hey, you know who else has been unusually quiet today? Daniel.
Where's the old Dan?
Yeah, I think we've been in Daniel's pocket.
What's up?
For a while.
There he is.
I'm sorry. Did we wake you?
Okay, the whole time y'all were talking about pikas, I was thinking about Pokemon, of course.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Pikachu.
Yeah, same here.
I seen a bunch of Pikachu in the wild.
One of the things that I was looking forward to for this gathering of hikers and listeners was Daniel let me know about a week or so ago that he had a list of questions for me and Megan, and I guess maybe I don't know if you have questions for anyone else, but I wondered if that was still the case. Do you still have your list? Do we dare?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Do we dare? Do we do this? I mean,
I've actually got a couple questions.
Okay. Well, I think Daniel is on a. Are you going roller skating tonight or something, or what's?
Yeah, we'll probably head out in half an hour, but I can still stay on.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you had to leave soon or anything, which is kind of why I was asking.
I mean, I'll stay until 8. Doesn't open until 8.
Okay, cool. All right, well, whoever, Mark or Daniel or either one of you guys, if you have questions.
Okay, I have a question since Mark.
Let's let Mark ask a question because Daniel asks questions all the time.
No, this is something because I am actually looking at doing the long trail in Vermont, and trying to find anything on the AT in Vermont is because it's like I think that's the first about 100 miles of the long trail is on the same track as the AT.
Correct.
You don't really hear anybody talking about the AT in Vermont. Is that just because you're getting ready for New Hampshire? Is it because you're finishing Pennsylvania? I can't find anything on what it's actually like to hike in that section of Vermont.
Let's let Damien take this one. And for any, because I just saw you unmute and you look eager.
Oh no, I was just going to say I'm lined up to do 2 weeks on the long trail in about a couple weeks. So,
are you really?
I am. Yes. Actually, it's my wife and I and her parents. So we actually introduced her parents to backpacking when we started doing it, and so they're going out to do the long trail for their 65th birthdays and 45th wedding anniversaries, kind of combined. Awesome. And so we're joining them for 2 weeks of that. So I remember the long trail when we did our AT through hike. It was beautiful. And it was sort of like perfect season for when we went because, no more bugs and it's getting cooler. So it was great. We loved it a lot. And it wasn't as muddy as they say. And I have friends who absolutely love it, who live in the East. But so I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for. I remember lots of rodents on the long trail. Those little tiny, they look like baby kangaroos almost, those little tiny jumping mice. I'd never seen those before.
Yeah, I think, are those field mice?
I think so. I think they're a kind of field mouse, but I hadn't seen them before because they literally looked like little kangaroos and they didn't run or scurry. They literally bounced.
Did they have long tails?
I think so. And it was pretty freaky because they came out at night, and so you'd turn on your headlamp when you went to the bathroom, and then you'd see like a million of these little things just like hopping all over the place. It was wild.
Where are you, Damien? I mean,
right now?
Yeah.
Well, right now I'm staying in New Hampshire, but I'm from Canada, so I live in Montreal.
Okay. Oh, okay. You're from Montreal?
I'm living there now. I've been there for about 4 years or 3.5 years. So
where were you in Canada before that?
Well, let's just say I've been around. I've lived in the U.S. for 11 years. I lived in Maine for most of that, and then we lived in eastern Quebec in the Gaspé Peninsula, and I grew up in Alberta, so I've been all over.
Yeah, it was when you mentioned Gaspé, it's a long-term goal of mine to hit the IAT between Gaspé and west coast of Newfoundland. So
yeah, that would be
Ooh,
that's something I'd like to do at some point as well. One thing I don't like about the I'll call it the IAT in Canada, specifically in Quebec, is that they charge you for everything, right? You have to pay to stay. I mean, it's not anything like in the U.S. where you can literally go the whole 6 months and not pay for staying anywhere if you don't want to.
Right.
Anyways.
Oh yeah.
But the Gaspé is definitely a beautiful section of trail.
Yeah, my dad's a Vermonter, so I'm kind of trying to get back into the family history thing. So that was why I was asking about Vermont, and I know parts of the state pretty well, but I don't generally hear about. I guess my question is, what do you think is the most underrated or underexplored part of the AT? Is it Pennsylvania? Is it Virginia? Because you always hear about, North Carolina, and you hear about New Hampshire and the Whites, and then into Maine. But is there any part of the AT that you did that you thought, geez, I wonder why I don't hear more about this?
Well, I don't know. I remember New Jersey being more beautiful than I expected.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, not that I heard bad things about it, but I didn't hear much about it because I guess it's not a very long section. But
well, if you've only ever driven through New Jersey or watched The Sopranos, you have a very different opinion of what that place is actually like. When you walk through it, it's totally different. That's a good example.
I remember crossing the bridge over there. Does anybody remember the name of that bridge when you're approaching New Jersey?
It's
like alongside a highway?
Yeah,
or it's like on the AT.
Is it that bridge that has the PA New Jersey line painted on the ground and everybody takes a picture of them facing towards Pennsylvania, giving it the middle finger?
I remember crossing that bridge, and of course it's along a pretty busy road. And I remember thinking, oh, well, this is stupid New Jersey. Of course there's a road here. This is going to suck. Oh, stupid New Jersey. Because my assumption is, my experience with New Jersey is traffic. So I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, this trail is just going to be along a road basically and go in like a park for 5 seconds. And then it ended up being gorgeous. So it definitely a shock for me. New Jersey was a pleasant surprise.
Gary?
Man, I'm going to have to go back to what we were talking about this before you joined on, and Daniel actually prompted this discussion. We were talking about an area in Virginia that sometimes gets referred to as the Virginia Triple Crown, which is McAfee Knob, which everybody sees pictures of, but you don't really hear too much about the Priest. And then there's something called Dragon's Tooth that's also pretty spectacular. And during all of my limited research before my hike, I heard about how amazing the Whites were and how awesome Katahdin was and how Pennsylvania was going to suck. And you hear about the Virginia Blues, but then right there in the middle of Virginia, you've got this, back to back to back, triple threat of just like, wow, this is amazing. Holy shit, that is too. And good Lord, why didn't they tell me about this? So I think like that little section even though they named it the Virginia Triple Crown, I still think it's underappreciated because it's even more awesome.
Hey Gary, I wanted to butt in for a minute.
Sure, go ahead.
Can I?
This is Becky from Ohio. You're on the air. Go ahead.
We were talking about your Vermont thing, so I got into some of your pictures, and and you have, or I don't know if you wrote it or if someone else did. It was duct taped to a tree. Turn right for the LT/AT north. Beware the Bennington Triangle. Is that a joke? Is that a muddy section of the trail? What's the Bennington Triangle?
Oh, yeah. So the Bennington Triangle is kind of a play on the Bermuda Triangle. And that's because it's an awesome place to stay off town and stay off trail and take a zero. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So the joke there is, how like airplanes and ships allegedly get lost in the Bermuda Triangle and you never see them again. You go into Bennington and you just stay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
It catches the flotsam and jetsam of the thru hikers.
Yeah, let's see. What else? What other good things can I say about Mark? You guys remember? Oh, Mark was on our very first episode ever, our worst episode ever.
Yes, the worst episode
That's
ever.
right.
Yep,
I remember that one. It was the worst.
it was. It was, you know what? I think it was actually, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you know, whether or not you think numbers matter, like every single episode that we've released has been listened to more times than the previous one. So every time we put out a new one, more people are finding us. And I went back and listened to a couple of other episodes, and some of them, you know, like you can tell as you go backwards, they do get worse. So,
Is it the Saturday Night Live syndrome, where you go back and after all those years, you're just like, Jesus, the first season of Saturday Night Live
what
sucked.
the hell were these people thinking?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. This one might beat. This might beat it, man. You got a lot of people on here. It's kind of haphazard.
Yeah, this one is pretty terrible. There's really no direction.
Oh, Daniel had some questions, right?
Yeah, we're pinning all of our
we're
hopes on
bringing
Daniel
back
at this
Daniel.
point. Daniel, save us.
Your only hope.
Get us.
Okay, hold on. That's with the cat. Hold on.
Hey,
Okay.
Gary, I figured out how to make the video
Help us,
work, and I
Daniel, son.
can see you. And I see
Okay.
that you're holding your microphone, and I'm laughing at you
Why? Because I'm holding my microphone.
holding it because it's
I'm
so funny
drinking out of
with
my
your little
microphone.
headphones on.
All right, Daniel, what you got?
All right. Do you have a picture of the sword that y'all found when you started the trail?
No,
Practice sword.
no. Mark, do you remember? You remember what Daniel's talking about?
I might. I'll have to go back and look.
Isn't there a name
But
for those
yes,
swords?
I remember informing Gary that it was a boken.
Yeah.
So that's like a short katana kind of shape, right? Like
But a boken is a wooden practice sword.
made out of ash or hickory, right?
I was just going to say this one was made out of resin.
Yes.
For
If you-
context, what Daniel is talking about is Mark did the first 3 days of the AT with me, the first 3 days, and on day one we were probably less than a mile north of Springer, and we found a discarded ninja suit and boken.
Well, and yes, that was a interesting day in which we found the boken, and we found someone's dreads that they had cut off at the top of the start of the trail.
Daniel is making love to his microphone right now.
Cutting off threads.
Daniel,
Fiddle a bite,
Yeah.
fiddle a bite.
are you performing a colostomy with your?
Oh,
with
sorry.
Your own
I didn't mute. I didn't mute my thing. I was going upstairs.
You think it's all right?
Do you and Deidre need some time alone?
No, she's in the bathroom actually. I guess I shouldn't have said that. Okay, so since we're talking about
But Jared's
pictures,
gonna love that you shared that.
since we're talking about pictures, do you have a picture of your blister, Megan, that you had?
Which one?
Yeah.
I don't know, the one that set you back so far.
There were
he talks about in the
one.
book.
There was like there were so many blisters on every side of my feet.
Okay, I think he's talking about the one. Remember when I didn't you
The squirting one?
You stated no. That was a different one. That was early in the trail when you popped a blister and it squirted onto me. Well, I think what Daniel is
Yeah.
talking about is when you had to stay with Hudson for about 4 days to get you had an infection and
That was cellulitis.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna say,
wasn't a
when-
blister. That was legit an infection. That was I do have pictures of that. I actually have a video as well
yeah, because
of it being popped and released. And the only reason I didn't share that on Facebook with all of my Appalachian Trail pictures is because there are a few too many F-bombs, and my mom has Facebook. So
Did you stay at the Yellow Deli, Megan?
I have never stayed at a Yellow Deli.
Okay. I was
Just because
wondering.
the one that I knew of was in Vermont. I can't remember where in Vermont, but I was really intense when I was going through that area. So I was like Gary, if you can get this, I was the first one waking up at shelters in the morning, and I was like the last one in, and also fell asleep first. I was very much just like hiking, eating, sleeping. That was it. There was no fun.
I never witnessed any of this, so I'm not convinced.
You didn't see it, therefore it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay, I asked Gary this. I don't know if it's going to sound weird, but how long in the trail did you all start to actually like each other? Megan and Gary.
I think we're still not quite there yet, are we?
We're still trying to hike away from each other. We're still trying to figure out how to do that. That's a great question. Gary, how long did you hate me for?
I don't think I ever did. I was,
No, there was never any hate.
No, I was.
No, he said he felt like he had to help you because you're not as experienced as him.
Hot mess. I was such a mess.
And Gary was talking to Katie about it.
I could figure it out. I really could genuinely figure the shit out. It's just that my process of learning looked like crazy. It looked like I didn't know what I was doing. So my process, did involve lots of bags inside of bags and dumping my entire backpack out at the shelter. I learned it, and but really, let's be honest. I can throw a bear bag myself. I just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I've
promised myself that if we ever hike together, you are throwing the bear bag.
I hate throwing a bear bag. I really hate it. It takes me a couple tries.
So basically,
Daniel, are these questions typed up?
Oh yeah, I just have to go on to. Actually, there's one I kind of want to ask you. So remember when I got so scared of that deer in Gary's yard, and you were like, "Why are you freaking out?"
Yeah, you should just give us some context. Give us some context, Daniel. Tell us about that. What happened?
Well, there was a gate, and he was like, trying to get out of it. I guess he was stuck in it. And I know.
Well, it was a fence. Where at Gary's place, there's a fence that separates it's on a property boundary, and it's kind of overgrown because I think it's been there for years. I assume, Gary.
Yeah, and this deer was. There goes Daniel eating his microphone again.
Sorry, I had it on my head. I've got the one like at the store.
Okay. Yeah, and this, the deer was headbutting this chain link fence trying to get out, and it was, clearly panicking.
It was stuck in it.
It was having a hard time, and then it turned.
Definitely got stuck.
And realized the only way for it to get back into the woods was going to be either to go around or through us. And I don't know if you watch Seinfeld, but I'm picturing like George Costanza running out of the burning building, stepping over old ladies and pushing children.
I grabbed Deidre's hand, buddy. So basically, this is why I talk about this. In the book, you talk about a deer charging y'all on the trail, and you thought I was being over dramatic when I was running away.
A
buck will do it, man. They get me.
Gary, I don't remember that part. Was that in the book?
Yeah, you and I were in the Smokies. And it was one of the...
Oh, the one in the Smokies. Okay.
Yeah. One of the first shelters we stayed at. And it was one of those things where we're like, oh, look, a deer. Oh, fuck, he's coming right at us.
So we have bear, deer, marmots. I was once chased by a trash panda in the Pisgah National Forest.
Right.
Yes. I was hiking alone.
But they're so cute.
Oh yeah, they are really cute. They've got little hands, But anyway, I was walking close to the Cradle of Forestry in the Pisgah National Forest, and came across this raccoon in the middle of the trail, and it squared up with me like Billy the Kid. This thing, right? It was proud. It was a proud raccoon. So I acted like I was going to go around it, and it inched forward toward me, like threatening me. Any of these good old boys around here in Western North Carolina that I tell about getting chased away by a raccoon just laugh at me because a lot of these people hunt raccoons.
You should try and learn it. They don't even have a mask.
Well, I turned around and kind of backed up, and as I backed up, it came at me faster and faster until I was running from a raccoon. Okay, so I've got a full pack on, everything, all my stuff for like a 2-3 night whatever backpacking trip, and finally I decided I got to scare this thing. So I saw a big stick and I raised it up into the air and like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, and finally it backed away. I don't think it was rabid. I think maybe it had babies. I mean, it was during the day. Aren't they nocturnal?
Rabies, babies.
They are nocturnal.
Jeez Louise, I was terrified.
Was that
Of a raccoon.
the trip to Turkey Pen where I surprised you at like 9:00 at night by just showing up at your camp?
Yeah, I remember you. It was really late. I was way out away from the rest of the crowd. People usually stop like 3 or 4 miles in, and I was probably a little bit further than that. And I remember I was listening to Pink Floyd. It was
that's how I found you.
Yeah, Wish You Were Here was on, and you just followed the music. And Gary walks in with his headlamp in the dark, hiking.
Expecting him?
Well, he said maybe. I was like, he's not coming. I was eating a block of cheese and cured meats.
Yeah, I think this is back when I had a job or something, and I had to I couldn't leave until 5:00 or whatever. And
it's corporate Gary.
And Travis is notorious for being. We started recording today at 6:30, and what time did you get here? Like 3:45.
Yep,
something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I wasn't even home at that.
If I'm not
time.
early, I'm late, and if I'm not earlier than early, I panic. I mean, I like to start work at like 6:30, and then leave at 2:30 and get to the grocery store when nobody's there. Beat the traffic.
That does sound really nice.
Yeah,
Travis is a time traveler from the future.
Gary groks me. He groks.
So I'm curious to know if there's anyone else on the line tonight who has an animal attack, or maybe not even just an animal attack. Maybe you saw a really beautiful or interesting creature or something. If you guys have any
critter stories.
Yeah, I want to hear you guys' critter stories. If someone else wants to chime in.
This is Dave. It's not really much of a critter story, but I'm from Washington D.C. I'm through hiking the AT next year. Nobo.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But my experiences, like the last couple of months out on the trail, doing some shakedown hikes, are with hawks and them swooping down out of their nests, like within probably 20 to 30 feet of me while on the trail. I've never had that much contact with any other wildlife. Like bears seem to keep their distance. Deer, I'm totally fine with, but hawks, or maybe they're peregrine falcons, but they seem to be, maybe I'm just hitting them at the right time, but they're not very happy with me while I'm on the trail near them.
Yeah. Hawks, especially during nesting season, you're a little late for that, but yeah, they're really protective, especially the accipiters, which are like the Cooper's hawk and those guys. They're slightly smaller than the big ones, like the bucayas, which are the red tail and the red shouldered hawks. But
sure.
Yeah, the accipiters and a lot of birds like crows and that sort of thing. But yeah, I've heard about there was recently a story in England, I think, about owls attacking. There's actually it's either owls or crows, where they actually have an online app where you can figure out. You've got an app where they show all the crow attacks. So I've never had that, but I'm sure that's really interesting.
Oh,
Hey,
cool.
I'm at the skating rink right now, so I'm going to get off.
Okay.
I hope your limbo goes well. Are you going to do the limbo? Don't they always?
No, we just skate around and do our moves, go backwards, sideways. I'm going to try
Moves.
sideways tonight.
Well, good luck.
Nice talking to you, Daniel.
Thank you. Yeah,
Have
nice talking
fun.
to you.
See you, man.
All right, thank you. All right.
Oh, hey, what does that sound? What's going on here? Look, I'm trying something new. I'm gonna be a DJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God. Damien, I believe still had a story, a critter story. Damien, do you still have a critter story you want to tell?
Sure, if you've got room for one more.
Oh, of course.
Cool.
Remix.
Well,
I'll just we'll remix that.
Oh goodness.
I don't know. It sounded like
Ignore them. Please
Daniel was like,
continue.
"I'm leaving," so I play. I don't know. That's Daniel's going away music. We'll use a different outro for this show.
You mix it with the Max Headroom stutter.
Yeah, this is the bonus track at the end of the album. If you leave the CD in long enough, and it just
Oh, jeez.
Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl.
And maybe you can make it play satanic messages if you play it backwards.
If you play this episode backwards, it says "Join the Yellow Deli." Join the Yellow Deli.
So my story is.
All right, Damien. Tell you.
Yeah. When we were on our AT through hike, I think we were exiting the Blue Ridge area along the Blue Ridge Parkway and stopped at a shelter for the night. And so my son and I were sharing a little 2-man tent. And I have this little foot ritual that I do to kind of keep care of my feet because, well, we all know.
Have a foot ritual.
Exactly. It's like the most important body part practically, at least when you're hiking. And
Definitely is.
so I usually put on, before I go to sleep, I'll put on some sort of a salve or something like that to kind of just, keep things from getting too stiff and cracked or something. And so I happened to have a new kind that had it smelled like coconut. And so most of the time when I'm done, I'll hang that in my food bag or at least get it out of the tent. But I think I was especially tired that night. And so I left it in the tent. And so I'm asleep now and in the middle of the night, and I'm having this dream. And in my dream, I'm hearing what sounds like scissors cutting fabric, right? That kind of crunch sound. And some part of my deep subconscious is thinking, I don't know if you're dreaming this. And so I start to pull out of my sleep and I realize that there's something going on in my tent. So I'm all groggy. I get up, I click on my headlamp, and there's a mouse in the tent. And what he's doing is I freaked him out by, flipping on my headlamp. And so he's literally running around the inside of my tent wall on the mesh, round and around. And this tent is really small. And I'm and I don't know what's going on. I'm just woke up and I wake up my son. Wow, whoa, there's a mouse in the tent. And he gets up, turns on his headlamp. We're both groggy. And so the only thing I can think of is I have to swat this thing. So I grab the thing that's closest to me, which happens to be my ultralight inflatable pillow. So here I am, this mouse running around the inside of my tent, and I'm swatting him with this poofy little pillow, as if that's going to do anything, right? and my son's just laughing at me.
You want to hit him with something solid like a Nalgene bottle, so you can just
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I was still coming to, right? And so eventually I came to my senses and figured out what was actually going on and what I was doing. And I just, we just both started cracking up. And so we just unzipped the door and out he went.
Oh my.
But he left a really nice, big, long gash in the tent. But it was actually really nice because he was very precise. He followed a seam for a very long way. So it was really easy. I just needed to take one piece of repair tape and put it on there.
Good little mouse.
Just a good little mouse, but he really
so
wanted
polite.
The coconut foot cream was I think what he was after. So that's my story.
Jesus. That's so I can picture a comic strip or cartoon of that. You with this tiny little flimsy pillow, like just trying to bat this mouse that's just doing circles around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Circles.
Like Looney Tunes or something, right?
Yep.
Mark,
That's how it felt.
do you remember the mouse that was in the shelter when we were staying at Grayson Highlands that one time? That I think we were just, it wasn't there. We were talking about what if there's a mouse and he eats all of our food, and we were talking about it as if he were a bear and he might take all of our food or something. And Mark illustrated this picture a couple days later of this mouse that was like the size of a basketball and had these just tiny little legs sticking out of him, and he was like kind of stuck on his back like a turtle. We were cracking each other up in the shelter that night. Just, we were giggling so hard. That was the night that Katie left. The three of us were staying in the shelter, and we were cracking each other up so much talking about the mice or whatever that she went and slept outside.
That was before Katie basically decided to bail out of the shelter because we were snoring so badly.
Yeah, that was part of it too. Yeah.
I think I've heard you sawing some logs before.
Me?
Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, I think in Upper Creek I might have heard.
I'm that guy you don't want to share the shelter with. That's for certain. Yeah, I can definitely. Yeah, that's something you probably should touch on.
Yeah, Mark snores. He smells like cheese, and he attracts rodents.
Oh, but he's a great guy.
It's such a blessing I'm good looking, because otherwise,
what else do you have going for you?
Yeah, I've got nothing.
No.
That's it. Just the stuff I was born with.
Actually, you've got a lot going for you. You're talented and funny, and I don't know how many people left. People have been kind of dropping off the chat because we went way over our time, and that's cool. I think we're going to wrap up pretty soon. But what was I even going to say now? Oh, well, we were talking about Mark and how he's talented, and I was gonna say there's a few people left on the chat, and I don't know how many of you guys have websites or social media that you want to plug, or if you want people to follow you. But I'm just going to go ahead and do Mark's for him, because Mark is amazing in his photographs, and his written stories are pretty cool too. Mark's website is wrappedjournal.com. That's wrapped like rapture, RAPTJOURNAL, all one word.com. Just go there or what's the other one? Laughing Totem Photos. Or
laughingtotemphoto.com.
Photo.com. Just go there and just scroll through just hundreds of, you'll just ask yourself, good Lord, why is this guy not in National Geographic? He's amazing. So
yeah, I've actually been looking at Mark's photos recently. I've been thinking about picking up a print.
Oh.
They're good. They're really good.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm a member of his Patreon page, actually, because I have faith
as
well as Gary's.
There is a book that is in the production stage right now. So
I'm so glad to hear that.
That makes me happy.
And I'm laying it out not as we speak, but it's in one of the background windows on my computer right now. So, okay.
All right.
I've kind of got some bear stories. Living on the West Coast, we've got lots of bears out there, but nothing really notable. But I don't know, black bears in BC, they're quite a common sight. And I'm sure you guys have heard of, you may have heard of Manning Park. It's where the PCT ends on the Canada side.
Yep.
There's a lot of bears there, and a lot of deer and stuff there too. The deer will actually just walk right through your campsite. And sometimes you get the friendly ones. You can feed them dandelions and whatnot. And I had one grizzly encounter in Banff National Park in Alberta. I don't really remember because I was pretty young, but I remember my dad waking us up, I don't know, sometime after 12 o'clock in the morning. And you hear people hooting and hollering and yelling, and he got out of our old canvas tent and started banging pots and pans together and making a bunch of noise and trying to scare it away. But I don't know, we didn't get to see it because we were stuck in the back of the tent. But yeah, bears are, I don't know, it's kind of surprising to hear people say that, you don't see bears too often. Like I see them almost every time I go out, at least one or two.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know, I've never really been scared of them. I'm more scared of, we get city bears too. The dump bears, those are the ones you got to watch out for.
The ones that follow the trash truck? Yeah, those.
Yeah, exactly. I've always had the ones in the wild, as soon as I catch a whiff of you, they're gone. But anytime you see one in the city, you got to watch out for it.
Well, because not only are they've got like all their natural bear attacking abilities too, but they're street smart.
They're coming for your Cheetos, dude. They won't stop.
They know.
Yeah, they get relocated, and if it gets bad enough, they get tagged, and then they put them down. So it's quite a bit of controversy up here.
You know, speaking of problem black bears, if anybody's listening out there that is sort of a beginner at backpacking, please be responsible with your food. Problem black bears only exist over 99% of the time because of us, because we don't practice. We don't put our food away. So it's kind of sad, but it's really our fault as humans. So I don't want to sound like that guy, but really,
preach, Travis.
Yep. Hang your food. Don't keep anything in your pockets. Empty your pockets and put them in your whatever you've got in there in your food bag. It's a problem. It's sad.
And it's getting worse. I mean, yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
just ignorance and inexperience. But anyone can be learned.
So you know what? Let's spend a few minutes on that, if you guys don't mind, because there seems to have been, I almost call it a movement, just because there's been so much of this talk online lately about people who are just openly suggesting, keep your food in your tent. And the rationale they always follow this up with, they say bears respect possession and they won't come into your tent after you and get that. And there's tons of like people who say like, I've hiked 15,000 miles and I've been on the trail longer than you've been alive and I sleep with my food all the time. And I still, I don't know, is it just my training? Or they, I think they're full of shit. Am I right or am I?
A lot of it is regionalism,
and I'm willing to be wrong on this too. I just need
I think you're right. I just think that a lot of it is regionalism. I think a lot of people, if you're in the desert Southwest or if you're above, the big thing is when you do any sort of alpine stuff and you're up above 10, 12, 14,000 feet. And you don't really have any choice, and you're cooking in a storm in your vestibule, which is also supposed to be a no-no, but you've got these specific times in which you do this, and people kind of extrapolate that out that it's okay. And you have to take it on an individual basis. If you're on the AT, no, you should never have food in your tent. Know where you are and know what's around you. I mean, and now I'm pulling a Travis, but yeah, it's one of these things where if you have to be aware of what your individual situation is and not apply it to everybody around you. And now when I was up on, if you're up on a mountain, if you're up on Mount Rainier or something like that, you're 12,000 feet. And you're in a snowbank, chances are you're not going to have a run-in with a grizzly, and you're not going to have a run-in with a bear. You might have mice, but if your only other choice is trying to cook in a storm, you're going to obviously cook in your tent, cook in your vestibule, and that's appropriate for the situation. Mm-hmm.
And I've done all of those things too. As much as I tell people not to, I also confess I've done it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I have to say I'm also guilty, but it is very important. And if you want more information, of course, this, keeping your food away from bears, kind of in the same vein as not leaving trash around and not burning your trash, it all kind of gets back to leave no trace. So we should definitely put this link in our on the Facebook group, but the leave no trace ethics are really important. So that's lnt.org. And they also have an entire article about staying safe in bear country, which tells you exactly how to throw a bear bag and exactly where your kitchen area should be versus your hanging food cache. I'm going to post some of that information on Facebook and on Instagram as well, because that is really important. Although I know a lot of us are very guilty of not following these 100% of the time, but it is very important to do your best to practice these.
I'll put that link in the show notes.
Okay. Yeah, I try to follow the Bermuda Triangle, as they call it, where you do 100 feet from where you cook, 100 feet from where you hang your bag, and 100 feet from where you sleep. But yeah,
I've never
I
heard
don't know
that.
the exact measurements, but that sounds right.
Yeah,
100 steps or so.
that's the interesting thing is again, it's kind of a regional thing, because if you've ever hiked along a creek in the southeast and the campsites where they're located, 100 feet in any direction could put you 300 feet up rhododendron embankment or in the creek. And I think the big thing, and I mean, it's really important to try and follow the rules to the best of your ability, that you need to think about the situation. And the big thing is to not leave anything behind. That's the LNT thing. But if you've only got 60 feet
it's right there in the name.
60 feet from your tent to your bear hang, you're taking a risk. But if that's the best you can do that, and then don't assume, oh well, there's nothing I can do, and I'm just gonna put it 2 feet off the ground. Do your best in the situation that's available to you.
I think that's
your best is better than nothing.
Yep.
I think those are words of wisdom, not just for hiking either, but just, it's amazing how many of these things apply to life in general. Just do your best. Just
the best you can is good enough.
You're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna get you down. We're gonna get a cease and desist if I go much further.
Yeah.
Not from who? Okay, who was that? Survivor? Who?
Was that from the 80s?
No, what was that? That was Eye of the Tiger? Was Survivor? Was it
You're the
still
best
them?
around.
Anyway,
it was something from Karate Kid. But...
Nothing's ever gonna get...
Yeah, our cease and desist is going to come from the listeners. Gary, stop singing. Oh man. Well, guys, we somehow managed to pull 2 hours together out of this, which is kind of impressive considering that we came into this with literally no plan whatsoever, other than let's just get a bunch of hikers on a Hangouts and record and see what happens. And so far I think it turned out really well. We're gonna try to trim this down to something that will be a little more digestible as a podcast. But Megan and I are planning to make this a recurring thing. So now, now that our Patreon is starting to get a little bit of momentum, we're getting a lot of support. In fact, a lot of our patrons are with us here tonight. Jason, thank you. Travis, thank you. Daniel, who's already left, thank you. You guys are basically co-executive producers of the show right now. But what you're helping us do is, like, I have literally, like, I have taken one of my freelance projects off of my calendar now because of your guys' support, which means that Megan and I can put this on our calendar now and make it a regular thing. So instead of the show coming out like, geez, it's been 21 days since the last episode. Oh, and here's another one 3 days later, and then another drought. We're actually going to start doing this on a recurring basis. And we want to have calls like this on a recurring basis too. So, maybe every other show we have a guest, every other show we do something like this. Or if you guys want to join us and be in the chat with a featured guest or something, we can start doing things like that. But basically, this is just a long rambling way of me saying thank you guys for helping make this possible, and thanks for being here tonight. This has been a lot of fun. Yay!
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for putting it on.
Yeah,
now
it's fun.
So since
if I donate tonight, will that get us another show?
Say that again.
If I donate tonight, will that get us another show?
If you donate tonight, I will just leave. I'll just leave the record button on for the next hour, and you and I we'll come up with something.
Nice.
Well, like we've said before, we're going to keep doing this regardless of whether or not people contribute and support us in doing this, because we love it. We just love showing up and having a conversation with each other and with all of you and with everyone in the community. So we're going to keep doing it regardless of whether people or not, or people donate or not. But we do, of course, appreciate the support because it gives us a little bit more motivation to keep going, and it helps us cover those costs that, like, the stupid server fees and like technology. Like, you saw how Gary has like this fancy headphones. I'm sitting here with like the headphones that came with my phone. So like, stuff like that. So we can upgrade and like the sound quality can get a little bit better. Small things like that, every little bit really helps us keep moving forward.
I think we can all pass a cup around for a new mic for Megan after tonight.
Actually, I think what
I have a new microphone, but what about the headphones?
Yeah, I think what we need to do is
this
get,
is my plea.
A new internet connection for Megan.
That was good.
So that's my own thing. But thank you for humoring me.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Appreciate it.
Is this where the instruments play?
Hey. This is where we all get to sing along.
Random noises.
Yeah, that is missing from this episode.
I think this is where I'm supposed to go. Wait. Stories from the Trail is a production of thetrek.co. Zach Davis, editor-in-chief. You guys can keep talking if you want. Yeah, there we go. Keep making sounds, and then I'll say, wait, what else do I say? Oh, yeah. Our music is by Lee Rosevere. Your hosts are me, Green Giant, and Megan Thompson, a.k.a. Voldemort. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
A rabid marmot production.
He's going to sing.
Ordinarily,
not recorded in Blanket Fort Studios today.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ordinarily, the show is recorded, mixed, and edited in the Blanket Fort. Today, we're sitting up here in my office with Travis.
That's me.
Not under the blanket?
No, we have separate blankets.
I did say earlier that I wanted to marry Travis, but I don't think...
That's true. We were talking about a bromance. Yeah, this is kind of the end of the show where we just kind of shoot the shit a little bit, and some of this makes it in, and some of it is just shit that gets tossed.
Yeah, this is actually where I start thinking about, at the end of the show, when the theme song kind of fades out.
Oh, yeah.
And there's always like a little weird thing at the end.
Yeah, if you listen, maybe everyone on the call doesn't actually listen to the end of the show, Gary.
If you stick around to this point, you'll get to hear Oglethorpe.
Yeah.
The man who says Oglethorpe.
Who was that dude again?
That was actually me this time.
That's
but,
old school.
But where did that come from? What friend was that?
So Oglethorpe,
coworker.
Oglethorpe is, as many AT hikers know, what used to be the southern terminus of the AT, and it's Mount Oglethorpe. They moved it to Springer, and it's also the name of a street in Savannah, which is where Katie and I used to live. And we have a friend, Chris Van Riper, who's kind of weird, like everybody I know and hang out with, and he came down to visit us in Savannah one time. This is what really like one of those you had to be there moments where we were drunk one night and we were walking downtown Savannah because they let you walk around. It's one of 3 places in the country where you can walk around with a drink in your hand, like an open container. So we were just walking around drinking, and Chris saw the sign and he pointed to it and he just went, Oglethorpe! And that's just kind of become like a thing with us. Like when we see each other, we say that. But what I've been doing is every episode that has any mention of Oglethorpe in it for any reason, I always stick Chris on at the end.
Bad.
Okay.